How better go, how better go there, how better go there, how better go where, how better go here, how better now, how better go.
How to buy homes and rent them out. Welcome back. Now, I'm Ted Thomas. I've been involved in a subset of traditional real estate for the past 30 years. Now, the subset is called tax defaulted real estate. Now, what are tax defaulted real estate? Well, they're mostly homes. Sometimes they're buildable residential lots. Sometimes they're small apartment properties. Sometimes they're even small farms or even small office buildings. But they all end up in tax default because the property owners don't pay their property taxes. So what happens then? Well, if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to have some severe consequences. And what is the consequence? Well, the legislature of the state has rules. Everybody is mandated to pay taxes. So they will inform the county treasurer and the tax collector and the board of supervisors the tax aren't being paid. So they'll levy their tax. They'll try to collect the tax. If they can't collect the tax, then the treasurer and tax collector will actually seize the property. They'll confiscate it, and then they're going to sell it at auction for pennies on the dollar. Now, I'll be right back and give you some more details. Okay, so what are we talking about today? How to buy homes and rent them out. Well, what if you could buy properties that had no mortgage or no deed of trust, and you could rent those out? Well, that would give you a lot of room that you didn't have to worry about paying mortgage payments, wouldn't it? So most people don't know how to make money with tax defaulted property, so I'll show you a couple of ways right now. Now, I know there's lots of promises on late night television and on the internet about tax liens and tax deeds. Now, I'm an educator, I'm an investor, and I'm an author and publisher. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a real estate broker. So in these episodes that I'm going to give you, they're all created from the investor's standpoint, okay? So from the investor viewpoint, you'll be able to understand this whole thing. Okay, so my intention is to show you the possibilities and how to make money with small deals. Now, if you can make money with small deals, then you can grow it and make money with big deals. In other words, rinse and repeat, just keep growing and growing. Now, if you pay attention and you'll embrace what I'm discussing today, you'll get some transformational information. I'm telling you, this will really change things. So nationwide, there's over 3,000 tax defaulted auctions every year. Well, actually, there's 5,000 because there's 3,000 plus counties across the United States, and they all have at least one auction. Now, when they sell a property at tax defaulted auction, it goes to the highest bidder. Whoever the highest bidder is going to get that property. So it's a place where you can buy properties for low prices. Now, how can you do that? Well, each of the states has their own rules on how they do that. So the legislatures make the rules, they pass it down to the board of supervisors, and then that's all then executed by the tax collector and the treasurer at the county level. All right, now the county commissioners make the rules and make sure that they're enforced. All right, so you have to understand that every county in the United States is going to have these auctions, all right? Now, when they have the auctions, what are they doing? They're trying to collect back taxes. So what they do is they take the price of the property, and that's the tax assessed value. But that isn't what they ask. What they ask at the auction is starting bid is usually just the back taxes. So that might be only 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Now, the auction is open to the public. Anybody can buy. All right, so many of these properties are going to start out at the back taxes. So those delinquent taxes could only be 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and that's where the bidding starts. Now, I don't know where it's going to end, but if there's not a lot of bidders there or people don't like the property, you might be able to get it for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. It depends upon what auction you go to and how the pricing is going. Okay, now the local county does not want the property. So what are they going to do? The local county is going to put a tax assessed value on it, but the asking price is going to be way down here where it's going to be close to the back taxes. So you can see the margin. There's a massive margin there between the two. So I teach my clients, buy it low and sell it low. Now, when you sell it low, you don't have to worry about a lot of competition. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how to buy homes and then rent them out. Okay, so the auction is going to be conducted by the treasurer and tax collector, and when they do that auction, they're going to cancel. I said they're going to cancel, they're going to delete the mortgage and the deed of trust loan. So the new purchaser is going to get a property without a mortgage encumbrance on the property. So think about what we said. So what is that going to do? Well, that's going to give you a lot of room, a lot of margin between your purchase price and your selling price, and it's going to give you a lot of margin if you want to rent the property out because you won't have to make mortgage payments. So ask yourself, if you could buy properties for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and then you could put a sign on the front lawn, or you could use Craigslist, or you could use a multiple listing, or you could use eBay, or you could use Trulia, you're getting the idea, Facebook Marketplace, and you could sell it for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar. Well, would that work for you? Think about what I said. You're going to buy it for 10 or 20 cents, and you're going to sell it for 50 or 60 cents. Got a lot of margin there. All right, why would we sell it low? You're going to buy it low and sell it low because there's not going to be a lot of competition when you're trying to sell it low. Now, if you don't want to sell it and you want to rent it, keep in mind, you're not going to have a mortgage on it. So would that work for you? Ask yourself that question. You'd not only be helping the county because they need money to pay all the county bills, but you'd be helping your family and making yourself a ton of dough. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state in the next 90 days. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. Today's episode is all about how to buy houses and rent them out. Okay, now my expertise is in tax defaulted properties. Why am I involved in that business? 30 years ago, I discovered this business when I could buy from 3,000 different counties across the United States, and I might be able to buy for 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents on the dollar. Now, am I getting brand new pristine properties? No. What I am getting is I'm getting used and abused. Some of the properties junk, don't buy the junk. Some properties are A-okay, they just need to be cleaned up and rented or cleaned up and sold. All right, so you're going to be able to decide what you want, and that's what I decided. I wanted to be in this business where I knew I could control the environment and I knew what my pricing was going to be. Now, is location important? It's just as important in defaulted property as any other business. Location, location, location. That's always important. If you buy in the ghetto, you're going to have problem properties, okay? If you buy in bread and butter neighborhoods, working class neighborhoods, where the people are hardworking and they're going to pay their rent or they're going to buy it from you, well, that's the way to go. So you need to understand that location is going to be important. All right, now the challenge with rental property is there's as many as 14 million rental properties out there. That's a lot of competition. So I found ways to get rid of the competition and stay in and be able to make money. How am I going to do that? Well, I can tell you. When you start out trying to buy rental property today, the market prices are high, the interest rates are high, you still have maintenance, you still have taxes. All right, what does that all boil down to? Well, it boils down to a lot of rental properties have negative cash flow. I solved that problem. How did I solve the problem? Because I'm going to buy at tax defaulted auctions, and when I buy at the tax default auction, I'm not going to have a mortgage. I'm going to have my mortgage completely wiped off the property. All right, now I know lots of people work from home and they work hard. And a lot of them are entrepreneurs and they had a good job. So if you got a job, I'm going to tell you, keep your job. Lesson number 1, keep your job. Lesson number 2, reread and re-listen to what I said. Keep your job, okay? Because a lot of entrepreneurs go home, they work 60 hours a week and they don't make as much money as if they were working at a job. So if your idea is to work on your own, this is a perfect business for that. So what I'm covering today is I'm covering how to buy homes and rent them out. Okay. All right. Now, throughout these videos, I'm going to show you some interesting examples of people that have bought properties and done very well. For example, I had a client that purchased a property recently just 2 counties away from Tampa, Florida. He bought a property for 10 cents on the dollar. All right, now the property was tax assessed at $91,000. Well, when he found that out, he knew he wanted to buy it low, so he went out and checked the marketplace. When he checked, he found out, by using the techniques we taught him in class, that the property was really worth a lot more than that. He spent $9,100, and when he actually went out and checked the comparables, it was worth $150,000. All right, now he bought the property for $9,000. He could easily rent it. But when he went to the property, he found out handymen wanted the property, And the handyman was willing to give him $5,000 down and then give him payments to take the price up to $150,000. So he spent $9,000, and guess what? He sold the property on an option to buy it for $150,000. Now ask yourself, how many deals would you have to do to be happy doing that? Could you rent that property and make a great passive income? Could you sell that property and get a passive income? Yes, you could do both, and that's exactly what he did. All right, so not having loans on the property gives you a huge competitive advantage. All right, let me give you another example. All right, BB is a client from Michigan. Now, this guy has purchased over 30 tax defaulted property. He always buys in the same kind of neighborhoods. He wants working class neighborhoods. He doesn't want country club neighborhoods. He doesn't want the slum. He wants working class neighborhood where he can sell the property and sell it with an installment sale or rent it. So he's looking at properties that have values of $50,000 to $100,000 tax assessed. But what does he do? He buys them for much less than that, and he uses a credit card. He uses a credit card to buy the property. Now, these are not glamorous properties, but they're okay properties that he can either rent or he can get people in there that will pay him and buy the properties for pennies on the dollar. All right, now most people underestimate marketing. If you understand marketing, you're going to be successful in this business. All right, the simple blunder of not knowing marketing is what causes a lot of problem. So let's give you a solution to that right away. What you really want to be able to do is you want to market the property properly. Now, if you're going to sell it, you want to use Craigslist, you want to use multiple listing, you want to use eBay, you want to use Facebook Marketplace, you want to use all electronic sites, and you want to put signs on it. So now you understand a little bit about marketing. That's going to be very, very important. Markets and locations are always different. So if you can't afford a mansion, you're going to have to try to figure out where you are going to buy. So everybody can't buy, including me, in the country club, okay? They're going to be too expensive. For example, why not buy bread and butter properties like Mr. B, one of my clients? He buys bread and butter. You can call those working class neighborhoods, all right? Now there's a big demand to be able to resell that property. What's a big demand mean? It means you're going to be able to buy it low at the tax auction, and then you're going to be able to sell it low, and you're going to be able to end up with some passive income, either from the sale as an installment sale, or you're going to end up renting the property out. For example, Bill purchased a tax defaulted auction property for tax assessed value $50,000. However, he didn't have to pay $50,000 because the tax assessor is going to set one number of $50,000. However, the treasurer, they're in charge of the sale. They just want to get rid of the property, so they're going to put the property on the market at just the back taxes. So what happened to BB? Well, he ended up purchasing a property for 10 cents on the dollar. So let's start over. Property is worth $50,000. He bought it for 10 cents on the dollar, so he spent $5,000. Now, what is he going to do with it? Well, he wants to sell it, all right? Well, he wants to sell it into the marketplace. Anybody can check and find out that it's worth $50,000. So what is he going to do? Well, my system is I want to make sure that you can sell quickly. So I say buy it low, sell it low. That's exactly what he's going to do. So he's going to try to sell for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar. In this case, he sold the property for $30,000. That's considerably below the $55,000 that it was worth. All right. He had $5,000 invested. Yes, he was going to do an installment contract. If you advertise that, what will happen? Lots of people will come to you because you'll provide financing. That's what people want, installment sale. Well, the people on the installment sale were willing to pay him $350 a month and do that for 10 years. So let's think what happens. They're going to get a down payment plus $350 a month for 10 years. Well, let's kind of figure that out, and we can kind of do the math on that. So the math is simply this: $350 a month times 120 months, the 10 years, well, that's going to work out to be $42,000. Wow, think about what he's just done. He's taken a property that he invested $5,000, and now he's going to get, over a 10-year period, $42,000. What if he adds back in the $5,000 down payment? Now he's going to get $47,000. Now, the frosting on the cake for this deal is he did it in a state where he could use a credit card to buy it. So he didn't even have to put up the $5,000. Folks, we're talking about tax defaulted property. We buy them low, we sell them low. Why not use installment sale to sell it? Or if you don't want to sell it, go ahead and keep it and get monthly passive income payments on rent. Okay, this works. Now, don't make the mistakes that other people make. Biggest mistake people make is they don't check out the property before they buy. That means they don't know if that property is going to be there. What if there was a flood? What if there was a hurricane? What if the property caught on fire? What if there was next to a pig farm or next to a chicken farm? You might not want to own that property because you couldn't get rid of it. So don't make that mistake. Now, when you're there looking at the property and you got boots on the ground, well, look around. What's the price? What's the value? How are you going to sell this property? So you want to make sure that you don't bid too high. Now, earlier we talked about the auction map and so on. If you'd like to have an auction calendar and you'd like to see a list of tax defaulted property, just go right below me and request one. I'm Ted Thomas. Don't forget, request your free auction list right below me.